Hi, I'm Dawn.
I'm Ashley.
And this is Mel.
Welcome to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast.
We are here to discuss awareness, growth, and healthy relationships.
Are you ready?
Hey, Mel. Hey, Ashley. How are you?
I'm
Hi,
good.
Dawn.
Good. What you guys been up to this week or last couple weeks? Because it's been a minute since we have recorded.
I traveled. I went and I saw my family, and I've just been kind of taking care of my husband. He's actually turned a corner. As of Monday, he had some back issues and had some we've been visiting a pain clinic in Toronto and he had a procedure done and it's been 4 weeks, but Monday he turned a big corner. So
Amazing.
I've been
Nice.
celebrating my husband.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very
Yeah, that's
happy about
great.
this. It's taken a lot of pressure off of me and worry because I've been very, very worried about him. But so this is good.
Nice.
Awesome.
What about you, Ash?
I've just been working and taking care of the family and trying to stay in a healthy mindset. I'm still dealing with child support and custody and all that fun stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just trying to stay in a healthy mindset every day. I had a really cool experience yesterday. I went to a mind, body, spirit convention where I connected with some spiritual things that I haven't connected with in a little bit. And it was really interesting. We'll get into that a little bit as we go on, but it was really nice. What about you? What's new with you, Don?
Not much. Not much. I went out of town as well for a weekend, and we that's why we haven't been around for a couple of weeks. We all were living life and had a great girls' trip, much needed. Going to become an annual thing, we decided, because it was so much fun. But yeah, working, that's about it.
That's so awesome. I know the
So,
three of us need to plan a girls' trip.
oh, that'd be
We
fun.
just need to do like a weekend somewhere where we can all
Yeah.
meet and just spend the weekend together.
That would be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I'm up for that for sure.
Yeah, I think who was I talking? Oh, I was talking to two people this week about like dating and relationships and stuff. And one of them has a very like she has a very full life, right? She's um has relationships outside of romantic relationships. And so she doesn't hunt down relationships. It's kind of like, oh, today I'm okay, I'm gonna go on the dating sites or I'm gonna this and oh, then I'm not, and I'm done and I'm good. But I was talking to someone else, and it's really interesting how that is the biggest shift in my mindset with relationships is by finding a community of people, right? It doesn't have to be men, and I always thought it was men, but it can be anybody. And by finding this like my this group of girlfriends and finding, having these relationships and having these lives, I realized the only thing was ever really missing in my life was relationships. It wasn't was missing men or missing, or wanted, I just was looking for human interaction with people that were like-minded. And that's been the crazy just kind of crazy adjustment to to really reflect on lately.
I have to agree with that. I really and I have been doing a little bit of that same reflection, and it has been just mind-boggling how for so much of my life I was consistently searching for a significant other
Hmm.
relationship, right? A boyfriend, a husband, some other partner in life and a significant other relationship. And at this point now, I've accepted that, right? My friends, my children, you two, this podcast, the Coda group, like that, it really is just fulfilling all of that
Yeah.
yearning. And I'm not looking for a relationship anymore.
Yeah, it's this it was like everything was so surfacey because for me in the past it was like I was never my authentic self. I never could ask for what I need. I didn't think I could take up space. I didn't think that I had anything to offer. So to find to seek out people and feel like I added value. I just didn't feel that way. And so I went to men to add value in my life because that's what I, right? That's as a society, as a, right, all of our love stories and all of the rom-coms and the Disney movies, right? It's all about finding your Prince Charming. And I realized I'm my Prince Charming. I'm my princess. I'm my um all the good in me, and I just need people. I just need relationships, and um I want to be challenged, and I will love my like-minded people. We can have it was so fun. And actually, this will be a great transition into what we're going to talk about today. We had last weekend, we were sitting there, and one of the girls is she's goes to church every Sunday. She's really pretty religious. So we had this amazing long conversation about God, religion, and higher power, and like we're talking about what is mine, what mine looks like versus what hers looks like. And then one of my other friends is she's got just she would say she's an atheist. But even talking about that and having these just such adult, unjudgmental conversations about what a higher power or God or a higher being, how that plays a life or plays a part in your life, and what it looks like for each and every one of us differently.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was a fun conversation. And it was, it was just, again, no judgment. Like, and then we were talking about the Bible, and we were talking about this, and and being able to freely say, like, I very much am not a Bible fan because the Bible has been rewritten by men for thousands and thousands of years, so we really don't know what the original Bible said.
I agree.
And that's why I can't get on board with that. Um, that's just me, my logic with it. And she agrees with it. And then we were talking about right, the LGBTQ community and the views on that and what religion has versus what a higher power God has. It was just such a great conversation. So,
I
um
love being able to have conversations with people about things like that, like out of
yeah,
this world things,
yeah.
and just being able to hear each other. Not that like I'm trying to change your opinion, you're trying
Nope.
to change mine, but just this is what I believe, and this is why I believe it, and this is how I believe it. And just what do you think?
Right. Right. So yeah, so obviously today we decided we were going to talk about higher power. So we'll transition into that and what that looks like. We're kind of basically going to have the same conversation that I had with my girlfriends. We're just going to have it here so you can everyone can experience that and see that, right, it is okay to have different opinions, beliefs. And the other thing I want to say one other thing, and but just because this is kind of on it, I had another conversation with someone the other yesterday talking about um interactions and where they were on um they were on our meeting Thursday night, and they dropped because they felt we were arguing. They
Yeah,
felt it
I
got,
saw that.
yep, they got we got they their in their opinion, we got heated, and they were like, well, and we talked through this yesterday, so I can tell you where this person was at. Arguing happened. Nothing good from arguing happens because I have that experience with my ex and in my childhood home. So, raising voices, disagreeing is a fight, and it's not good.
That's interesting to me. I have that experience in my childhood home also.
Hmm.
And how I would describe Thursday night was an intense conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there was disagreement.
Hmm.
Obviously, we had very, very different thoughts between the people in the meeting.
Yeah.
And that's isn't disagreement what creates open-minded, like having open-mindedness and
Ex
having disagreements allow us to learn new lessons and hear new things. And
well, exactly. And so when I was talking to this person, I was like, there was a couple things I kind of pointed out to them. I said, number one, you didn't stay till the end. And I said, if you would have came stayed till the end, you would have realized the meeting and the conversation came full circle, and we were actually saying the same things. We have the same beliefs. We just look at them a little bit different. I said, number two is this is a safe place, right? Arguing is not what we were doing. We were having a discussion. And right, if voices raise, that doesn't mean we're arguing. That was a safe place. And I said in that moment, I said, think about this. What if you would have actually said, wow, this is bringing a lot of emotion for me, right? Growing up, raised voices and raising and keeping raising is a trigger for me. I experienced this, this, and this, and this, and this is what I'm feeling. I said, you think about the trajectory of that meeting, that it probably would have went boom, and you find power when can own my own feelings and I can say it in a safe place where no one's going to judge me. Think about the power in that. And I said, so I would challenge this person because they don't normally talk, say something. Like, right, that was a perfect opportunity to say, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm hearing. And I said, I know us well enough. We would have went like right into family talk and arguing and fighting, and I said, as children and as adolescents, and what that looked like. And I said there would have been a whole nother layer of the conversation.
and to add to that too, I struggle to see any argument in that
We
meeting.
weren't,
I do see disagreeing viewpoints at the
mhm,
beginning. I do see lack of understanding from one side to the other and from that side to the other,
yep,
right? Like I didn't see where other people were coming from. Other people didn't see where I was coming from. You and I both, Dawn, both got passionate about what we
we
believed.
very much. But
Um,
that's
but
us.
but there was no judgment.
Mm-mm,
There was no name calling. There was no anger. There was no hurt words. There was no like, I'm going to hurt you and I'm going to get you.
right?
Um, so I really like sometimes difficult conversations are extremely
Yeah,
important. And even like what we're getting ready to talk about now, our higher power. So many people believe so passionately in their
yes,
beliefs that when we challenge that belief, even just by sharing our own belief, things can tend to get a little, I like the word passionate. You could
yeah.
use the
I
word
like that word too.
intense.
Hmm.
But it wasn't,
Right,
it doesn't have to be an argument. Disagreements and different viewpoints and conversations don't have to be an argument
right,
if there's no anger.
right,
Um, so I challenge people and I challenge myself, right? Just because I see intensity, just because I see passion, just because I see people who care, doesn't mean I see people who are angry.
right. And
And
that's
I
come
have to be aware of that.
and that comes with work. Like that comes with all
Yeah,
the self-work that we do, and being able to realize that what I experienced, like I used to be a yeller. I mean, constantly was a yeller. That's the way I learned
I
growing
was
up
too.
how to communicate, right? That's how I learned to communicate. Nope. Right? Yeah. Now it's like, okay, I can be silent when I need to be silent. I can listen when I need to listen. I also can own my own thoughts and opinions and feelings without the worry that of what the other person how the other person is going to think about me. And I think it really comes down to, for me, and I this is going to sound really cold and really shitty, but it's and because I'm going to use you, Ashley, as an example, because I know you won't take it wrong.
You're good.
I, I, you and I could have this heated discussion, and I can say what I need to say and own my feelings and walk away and never talk to you again because which I love you, and you know that I would not want to do that, but that's why I'm using you as an example. Um, but right, I think that comes down to this thing where it's like, okay, if this person has a problem with what I say, I can just walk away. I don't need to keep people in my life that
Beat
don't
me
fit.
down or
Right.
push me down or right. Like it's so important, and we got to get back on topic, but I just
But
want to say it's so important to be able to have two different
hmm
views, two different opinions, and to be able to communicate those opinions and disagree on those opinions and then get to a point where the conversation has an end, right? Like
yeah,
if that person had stayed to the end of that meeting, they would have heard all of us in the meeting get on the same page.
right,
Even if we disagreed with what each other were saying, we were all on the same page. And that meeting ended like, I can't wait until next week.
right,
I mean, yes, it was an intense meeting, but it was one of the best meetings that we've had because it created thought, because it created opportunity to have new growth.
right. Yep. So, so speaking of differing opinions, um, I did some searching on what is higher power. What is a higher power? So Merriam-Webster and dictionary.com, I pulled both, actually have say what is a higher power differently. So I'm going to read those really quick. So Merriam-Webster says it's a spirit or being, and with in parentheses, such as God, that has great power, strength, knowledge, etc., and that can affect nature and the lives of people. And then dictionary.com says it this way: a deity or another powerful but unknowable force, conceptualized variously as the supreme being, nature, the universe, invisible energy, etc., to which appeals or prayers may be directed, or in the context of which explanations of life and circumstances may be imagined.
I like dictionary.com better.
Now, what do you think?
Um, I agree with both. I do. Dictionary.com's a little bit more in depth, but generally they are saying the same thing.
Yeah. I kind of like both as well. I really like the part of what Merriam-Webster, the that has great power, strength, and knowledge, because I do believe that with my higher power. And I love the idea of the supreme being, nature, the universe, invisible energy. I love that.
Mhm.
So I think it's kind for me, it's if I took both of those and meshed them together and put the words the way I would like, for me it would be the epitome of what I think what my higher power is. And I use the word my higher power because it's mine, and I get to define what that is for me.
And
I Go ahead, Mel.
I agree with that. That's what I like about um spirituality and having your own higher power is that um just like the dictionary.com says, you can conceptualize it to be programmed exactly just for you.
Hmm.
You're not following what everybody else is following. It's your personal relationship with your higher power. And for myself, developing my relationship with my higher power has helped me develop my relationship with humans, if that makes any sense.
Elaborate
I
on that. Sorry, Ash.
Um, when I discovered that when I found my higher power, um, then I learned it was something that I can actually speak freely with, uh, speak directly what's on my heart and not feel judged or I'm going to be I my relationship with my higher power is my first relationship where I wasn't too concerned about their opinion of me. because I think I understood he already that my higher power already knows everything about me, knows me deeply in my heart, so I don't have to put on masks. I can just be myself. So learning to be completely authentic with my higher power has allowed me to become more authentic with people.
Okay.
I also like both of those definitions. And I like the simplicity of a higher power is just a power greater than myself.
Yeah.
Um, greater than a human being. I shouldn't just say greater than myself, but it has to be like I can't make another human being my higher power because human beings have human thoughts and
Hmm.
needs. A higher power doesn't have human thoughts and needs. Um, I really like what Mel said because my relationship with my higher power first, if I can get that to a place where I feel accepted and loved and not judged, then I can get my relationship with people to a place where I feel accepted and loved and not judged.
All right.
But it definitely begins with my relationship with my higher power for sure.
So, what for you does your higher power represent, look like, feel like? Um, yeah.
Well, do we want to start with what it looks like and feels like now, or do we want to start with what it looked like and felt like before?
Let's do both. Like, let's talk about what it was before we had the relationship we currently have with our higher power. So, yeah.
For
And then,
me, I grew up going to Catholic school. Um, when I was a child in my before my adulthood, in my childhood, my higher power was God with a capital G, Christian Catholic God out of the Bible. In my opinion, he was very judgmental. He was condemning. Um, had extremely high expectations. Um, it was an impossible person, an impossible being, not person. It was an impossible being to live up to because you could never meet his expectations. And that was the higher power that I grew up with. Um, with that higher power, I very quickly shut him out at a young age. I was like, nope, I don't believe in that. He's evil. He's awful. He doesn't, that view of it is not good. And I shut it out. Um, so for most of my adult life, I had no relationship with a higher power. My relationship with a higher power was just doing what I felt in my heart was right. And then I went through my journey, my growth journey, my self love journey, my self acceptance journey. And my higher power has evolved many times over that journey. Currently, I really like how the dictionary.com said it. It's a powerful but unknowable force. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what my higher power is. It is energy that is attached to every single person and every single thing in this world: trees, plants, animals, rocks, the ground, the sky, the clouds, the rain. It's attached to everything. It is an unknowable force currently. And and the characteristics of that force are what continues to change for me.
Mm. So I very much kind of like you grew up. I grew up. My grandparents were Baptist. My dad was Baptist. So if anybody knows anything about Baptist, right? Very structured, very rigid. Um, so we go to church. I loved going to church with my grandma and with my grandparents because I just loved going to the church because I could run around and it was scary and it was creepy and I got candy and my mom would sing and my grandparents have been there forever and so everybody knew me as Donnie and so it was a big deal when I showed up. So right, that was my first experience with church, God, religion. So in the beginning it was fun. And then as I got a little bit older, right, my parents and I, we moved and my home became very volatile. It became very angry. It was a lot of yelling and abuse. And I couldn't understand. and this is still this is for it's still even now it's a big thing for me when I look at it, but right, I couldn't understand why this thing that everybody talks so good about and so amazing, and like then I'm going through all this crazy at home. Like that didn't make sense to me. And then kind of I think when I needed it the most, probably that would have maybe cemented it, right? It went to the wayside because of where my family was and how they were. And then I did. I for many years, for probably the next 10 years, like I was bouncing around trying to like I was curious about it because I knew there was something, but it didn't fit what I thought it was. So I my one girlfriend, her dad was a preacher at Salvation Army, so I did that. Um right, my dad, or my mom and my stepdad got married, they he was Lutheran, so then we tried that. I went to Catholic church. I actually did Jehovah's Witness. I went there for a couple of times, um like trying to figure out what this meant for me. um and I just kept coming back to it was judgmental. And if you basically, right, oh, if you do something wrong, you're going to go to hell. Like it was just a judgmental, you do right, you're good, you do wrong, you're bad, very black and white
And you
type.
could do something wrong as just like thinking wrong.
Yes, right? Or just loving the wrong person because this is what uh, they say it's, and I just could not, like I couldn't get on board with that. So let that all go. I stepped away from it, and I didn't have anything like that in my life. Because it just didn't fit for me. Um and then once right, you come into recovery, and um we all met via, well, you Ashley and I met via Coda, Codependence Anonymous. And in their 12-step programs, right, there's a lot of talk about God. And I remember then that was probably the only thing that would have made me not go back.
I almost left too because of that.
Because to me, the word God by this point at 47 years old, it had such a negative connotation on it. And then, right, every other word is God. I was gagging in a way because it was just, that's what it felt like. Um, and so then through my own work and realizing that I have freedom around this for it to be what I need it to be. And I'm not going to say it's a make believe thing because it's not. It's very, very real for me. But I created, and I know and I think about it the way I need to think about it for me. So for me, as I said, it represents great power, strength, knowledge. My higher power is so knowledgeable. My higher power also has the most fucked up sense of humor ever, and he's up there just playing chess as with my life as his chessboard. And he's like, "Okay, you thought you were safe." Um, and I love that about that. I also love, like we were talking about, like, right, that invisible energy, the nature, universe. That's for me, that's a very big feeling. Like, I mean, even now I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it, and it's so funny because I didn't feel this way. And then after I changed into what it is now, I feel like my body is glowing. If you can visualize that, I just feel like my skin is just radiating with
That's how
this.
I feel when I talk about spirit. Like when I'm in talking about my HP and in my spirit, I feel like I glow. I
Yeah.
shine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's different now. Because it's my God is my higher power, and I don't even like to use the word God most of the time. I use higher power most of the time, or HP. I'm definitely use HP a lot. My HP is not judgmental. My HP loves everyone. My HP loves me in my flaws and in my goodness, and he's encouraging and he's supportive. The other thing is I talk to my higher power however I want.
Yes.
Meaning when I'm talking, wherever I want and however I want. Now, that doesn't mean I'm like, you motherfucker, blah, 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 blah," right? Like I'm disrespectful. We'll say it that way. Because I respect my higher power more than anything and ever. But will say, God, I can't fucking believe this happened. Why the fuck am I like, I will cuss like a sailor with my higher power. And you know what? Because he's not a judgmental,
Judgmental.
he could care less what I say. He's just happy that I'm actually engaging with him. And I say him very loosely because it just feels like a male energy. Um, I don't know why. That's what it feels like to me. So that's why I say him. Um,
So, Don, before you go into all the
yeah,
characteristics of
go
what
ahead.
your higher power is, I'd like to hear where Mel was before. Like we both just shared where we were
Yeah.
before. Sounds very, very similar. Mel, where were you before your growth?
Um, well, my relationship with God, or it started early in age. I attended Sunday school. My grandfather went to church. It was really confusing because we would go to church whenever my grandfather needed some redemption, let's put it that way. So it would come in spurts and stuff like that. And there was a lot of fights in our home around this. My grandmother, we call my grandfather a hypocrite and say, you're just going to church because of this and that and this and that, you know? So that was like one idea I had about church. But when I was there, I always had a really nice time. I went to Sunday school. I really enjoyed it. I did always believe that there was something higher than myself. And I learned very young, at a very young age, to say my prayers, you know, and to talk with God. I would say that it was later on in my life when I was about 18 or 19 when I learned to listen back to, and then that wasn't through meditation. I didn't learn meditation and all that till I was much older. However, I had some like dark things happen to me in my 20s and stuff like that, and a little bit earlier. And when I couldn't turn to another person, I always, for some reason, was drawn just innately to speak to something higher than myself. At that time, I didn't have a name for it. I didn't call it higher power. It just felt that there was always something with me. And if I have to be honest with you, I've always felt guided. Whether I had the wherewithal to listen to what I was being kind of guided to do, a lot of the times I didn't. A lot of the times I wish I had. But really, my relationship with my higher, like when I kind of took it as a higher power, wasn't until when I got breast cancer and had a lot of personal things happen in my life, and I found myself on my knees and then went on a search for something bigger than myself to hold on to.
So, how did we all find our relationship with our higher power? How did we get to where we are now? Or should we first say, where are we now?
I would have to say that with like higher power, where I bring it in with me every single day. Like, there's not a day that I don't converse with my higher power would be with recovery, with some form of recovery. Because it wasn't therapy. Therapy wasn't telling me to connect to a higher power. It was honestly the step programs that had me turn to a higher power and opened up that concept for me.
For me, my therapist actually did it. And I know Ashley's going to talk kind of about the same thing here because we both had someone has said the same thing to us. But for me, when I finally started to therapy, um, my therapist she is religious. She also had worked a 12 step program. um, Codependence Anonymous. And I remember talking with her in the beginning about like higher power, what that looks like. And she had a very unique way of saying it. And she's like, where can you be? Where can you go that you can shut your eyes? You can feel inner core peace and take a deep breath and just let everything go. And I was like, well, that's the beach. And she says, so the beach right now is your higher power. And she's like, and that can evolve, right? As you go through this process and you look at it and you consider it, it can evolve. And she's like, right, a higher power can be anything you need it to be. And she used the example of a doorknob, and I thought it was such the craziest thing, but I loved it also because to me that went against everything everybody has always said about a higher power, right? I need my higher power to be a doorknob today. My higher power will be a doorknob today for me. And that moment when she said that, I'll never forget that visit. I walked out of there just feeling so much lighter because now I'm like, okay, now I know what to do with this. Now I can picture it. Now I know, okay, this is what I need. This is where I find it. And that's when the start of this beginning of the evolution of what my higher power would end up looking like. And then I have another one, but we'll talk about that later when it's further along.
Yes. So for me, I was very against God. Um, when I first joined the 12 step program, and Coda is also what helped me. And I know Mel, that's what you were alluring to. But when I first joined the 12 step program and I heard how much they talked about God, because they don't use higher power very often. They use the word God quite a bit. I almost laughed. I was very, very against God with a capital G. And I kind of alluded to why at the beginning, but it was the way I grew up, the Catholic school, the churches I went to, the way my mother and father and stepfather did or did not talk about God with me. My perception of God was this all powerful being who knew everything and could do everything and chose to condemn and judge and have opinions, right? Like, oh, like
Hmm.
you alluded to it, Don. I don't like who you love, so you're going to hell. Or I don't like that you don't celebrate Christmas, so you're going to hell.
Hmm.
Or you swear too much, so you're going to hell. Or for me, you don't kneel and put your hands a certain way when you pray, so you're not
Right.
praying right. So when I first joined the 12 step program, I had this wall. Every single time they talked about God, it was all I could do not to leave the meeting. 100% just log off the meeting, kind of like you were saying that person did the other day. I
Yeah.
like it was bad. I was angry at God. I was angry because I remember being 5 and 6 and 8 years old and begging God, praying and begging Him to take me out of the life I was in, put me in somewhere with physical safety, put me somewhere that I could be okay. Just let me find a way to make me be okay.
Mhm.
And it never happened. No matter how many times I prayed, no matter how long I prayed, and by the time I was 9, I had a conversation with my higher power when I was 9 years old. It was with God when I was 9 years old, where I begged and pleaded that something would happen on my way home to where I could not go home. My mom would leave, my stepdad would leave, something would happen to where I could not go back home to that house. And it didn't happen. And I came to the conclusion that God hated me. And therefore, I hated him, because what kind of all powerful, almighty being would put a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old child through the things that I had gone through? Um, and I never looked back. Prayer was not a thing, meditation was not a thing until I came to Coda and I joined this 12-step program. And I heard, I think it was you, Dawn. I heard you say, it's not about God. It's not about God with a capital G. It is about a power greater than myself. And I get to choose the characteristics of that power. I get to choose who I believe my higher power is. Something about, like, it's not like I'm creating the higher power, but
Right.
I get to choose what I believe in. And that gave me, like, oh, so it's not that if you're gay, you're going to hell, or if you murder somebody, you're going to hell, or if you cheat on your husband or wife, you're going to hell, or right. I could go through the whatever the 10 commandments. It's not
Right.
that if you do all of that, you're going to hell, because that's not what I believe my higher power believes.
Yeah.
And that for me, like, that I didn't have to subscribe to this religion or this religion or this religion. And I did. I tried Buddhism, I tried Judaism, I tried Jehovah's Witness, I tried Catholic, Christian, Baptist. Like, I definitely tried many of them. There's even one called the Law of One that I tried. Um, Many different quote unquote religions, including paganism, right? All of them are religions. I just couldn't subscribe to one,
Mm.
because everything I read, there was something that I was like, well, wait a minute. If you don't believe this, you go to hell. Or if
Right.
you don't believe this, you're condemned to die. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. For me, that was the biggest, most freeing thing, was I can choose what I believe my higher power is.
So, what I heard from the both of you then was finding your higher power was almost a journey in itself. You guys went on a search, like trying different religions, trying
Absolutely.
to find the
Hmm.
thing that fit.
You know what
And
I
I think that that's part of it too. I think that that's part of the awakening to your when you're awakening to your consciousness and your higher self, that you do search. The searching is the part of it.
It's never
I
the destination, it's always
No,
the
it's
journey.
right.
yeah.
You know what I would say, how I would describe what I was trying to do when I was in that process? I was really trying to put it into a box.
Okay.
I was trying to put it into this box of what everybody thought it should be. And
Yes.
I could not get it. It just wouldn't fit in this box. It would not, just couldn't shut the lid. I couldn't, no matter which way I turned it or twisted it or whatever, it didn't fit in this box. And then I had to get rid of the box. I didn't
Was the
get,
box was religion, correct?
yes. So
Gotcha.
here's my, very much my beliefs in how I look at God, religion, and church. Church is a business, guys. That's all it is. They're trying to keep the lights on. They're trying to pay the bills. They're paying the employees. It's a business. That's why they ask you to tithe, because they need to keep the lights on. Simple, easy, whatever. To me, religion now becomes the rules. And I think where I struggled with the rules part of it is the rules seem to just contradict depending on which book of rules you open. This book of rules says you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do this, but this book of rules over here says, well, you can do this one, but you can't do this one or that one. And then this book over here, and I think there's where the religion piece of it's where I struggle.
I agree with, so far, both of those statements I agree with.
And then my higher power is just this higher being, exactly really what both definitions allude to. Power, strength, knowledge, this invisible force, this energy, this thing it's just faith. That is all my higher power is just faith. that there is something bigger than me out there.
Hmm. For myself, one of the things that I explored when I was awakening was my soul's purpose.
Mm,
And what I came to understand, like for myself, so the way I conceptualized it was like everything is to lead everybody to the same place. So whether it's Catholicism, whether it is Buddhism, Islam, whatever, it's all a higher power anyways. And I think that it's an individual choice on how you get there, whether it is through organized religion or it's something that you conceptualize on your own. The the end result is all the same. Do you guys agree with that?
I, I
I
I actually don't.
Okay,
I
cool.
so I yes and no. Yes and no. So I do believe in the end, like after we have all died and we meet our maker and we move to the next portion of our lifetime, I believe it's the same in the end.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very different on our
And ha
journey to get there.
and what you do on this earthly plane and how
Yes,
to get to the end is very different. But
correct.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that I think that there are so many choices to get there for this reason. Everyone is so different. Some people need the organized religion,
Yes.
and I've been a
Mhm.
part
Yeah.
of that, and I have gotten a lot out of church. I used to get filled with spirit in church because it's still spirit. If you take the humanness and all the minutia out of it and you just have the spirit of what is really it's supposed to do and you allow that into your heart, you're still going to experience it.
I, I
Spirit is spirit. Guides are guides.
I do agree with
Lessons are
that.
lessons, you know?
I do agree with that. I think that the hard part becomes the triggers, right? So for me, God with a capital G and praying became a trigger because if I didn't do it right, I would get punished.
Yeah.
And because it was so shoved down my throat that if you don't live right, you will be punished.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was like it became, it was the trigger, is what I had to deal with. It wasn't that God with a capital G was bad, because the being himself is not what the people make him out to be.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
The spirituality part of it, the spirit, like you were saying, Mel, is
Mm-hmm.
not what the ego and the human, the judgment and all of that. That's not the spirituality part. So
No.
for me, it wasn't that I had an issue with the higher power itself. It's that I had triggers from the humans that tried to shove it
Hmm.
down my throat that I could not get past.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
had to take that God with a capital G, just the word alone. And I had to create like a filter in my ears where when somebody said the word God, it would hit my ears and it would be transformed into the word higher power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same thing. They were talking about the exact same thing, but I had a trigger with the Almighty God. So anytime somebody talked about God, I would shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I could figure out how to deal with that and be in recovery and create this relationship that I truly did and do believe is so, so important was for me to change what in my head, what somebody else said into what I could hear.
Exactly. Yeah. I hear that.
I think where I maybe don't disagree, or I do disagree with that only is maybe just by choice of words, but I will tell you what I'm thinking, and then maybe it might fit in. I don't know. Anyways, I know there are people that do not go to organized religion just for the pure point of connecting with a higher being or
Yes.
God. And so I do not believe the end result is the same for everybody based on them doing religion.
I don't think we meant the end result was the same. I think the destination is the same. What you have when you get to that destination, who you are when you get to that destination, what you believe when you get to that destination. I also agree with what you're saying. That is very different.
So you're not, are you saying there's one destination or is there multiple destinations?
Well, when I destination is, um, I mean, it's your own like for myself, it's my own personal concept of why, what my higher power, um, has put into my life for purpose. Like when I opened up my ideas about like, okay, so why was I given to this specific, like why was I born into this specific family and all these things happened to me and why did I suffer all these traumas and stuff like that? When I when I opened up my mind to all of this, it was all for purpose. And when I stopped seeing that, believing that all these things happened to me, but came up with this idea that everything that I went through was always for me, it kind of took the victimization out of my life and actually kind of made me feel more powerful in everything that I've endured.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say, I agree with that, Mel. And what I was saying, what I think my destination is not the same as Dawn's destination or Mel's
Yes.
destination or
Yeah.
Jen's, right? We are at it's a different destination. However, when we get to our separate destinations, we're all in the same place. We're all together, right? Like where you're going, Dawn, your destination is not the same as my destination. Our journeys to get where we're going are very different. And
Right.
maybe in your mind, your destination is love and kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in my mind, my destination is peace and empathy. And maybe in Mel's mind, her destination is power and love. I'm just throwing random things
Yeah.
out. And when we arrive at our destinations, we look around and we go, oh, hey, Dawn. Hey, Mel, you're here too. That's what I believe.
Okay. So okay, so when I hear that the word destination, I'm thinking the point we will arrive to. But what you're really talking is about is our the vision for our journey to get to that ending point is
Yes.
very different, but the end point is the same.
Yes.
Okay.
And really, is the end point in having an eye higher power is just to bring some peace to our everyday lives.
I think that can be different for everyone
Hmm.
because I think for some people, maybe the end destination is not peace. Maybe it's kindness, or maybe it's love, or maybe it's empathy, right? Each of us, I think, are here on this earth for different reasons and we are
Hmm.
doing different things.
Hmm.
So, like, if I think about a narcissist, their destination maybe isn't peace. Maybe their destination is self love.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their destination is understanding and learning empathy. I,
Hmm.
on the other hand, have empathy. So empathy is not my destination. I've already gained that empathy. Maybe my destination is understanding where I haven't been able to understand before. Um,
Oh, you mean that what you're saying is the destination dis is discovering like it's like what you're here to learn.
yes.
Okay, okay, got that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I
I
was.
And
get that. I completely agree with that. I think that we're all here for our own purposes to um, level up our lives in some way by having to have to go through terrible things or great things or to become who we're meant to be. Like, I believe that
yes,
we're always we're all here for a purpose. Even the narcissist, you're right, is here for a purpose.
Yep.
It's maybe like the person that gave you trauma, they're still here. They were meant to give you that trauma so you can grow from it. I can grow from
And
it.
so they can grow
Yeah,
from it.
so they can grow from it and have an experience.
And then the second half of that is once we learn those things that we each came here to learn,
Hmm.
that final destination, which I believe is going in a little bit further into this than we wanted to. I believe when we all die, we go somewhere, and that is our destination,
I
right?
was actually
That's
going to go
the
there too. So
that
yeah.
yeah. So I really like how Mel said we are all here to learn whatever it is that we need to learn in order to level up in life. And I think once we learn that, and once we get to that level up, that's the destination, but we're all in the same place once we reach it. Right? Mel is in somehow Mel and I and Dawn and I and Dawn and Mel are all connected. Our souls have been connected to each other, and that is why we met in this lifetime, and that is why we are working together in this lifetime. Dawn's journey, Mel's journey, and my journey look very, very different. And we all have different things that we have to acquire in these lifetimes, right? Like different characteristics that we need to improve, that we want to grow, that we want to learn. And once we get there and we pass away, we are all at the same place. That's what I think.
Yeah, I kind of I don't disagree with all of that. I do believe in karma, and I do believe that um I almost feel like I was put on this earth and I had came with a checklist that I have no idea about. But my higher power goes, okay, it's time to check this off the list.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so universe will throw something at me that I have to grow from. Will put people in my life that is all for my growth. And and then I believe too that when I have learned everything that I can possibly learn from something or someone and it's not serving me anymore, HP will come in and take that away from me. If
Hmm.
I don't have the wherewithal as the human to take it out of my life and it's actually doing me harm, sometimes HP will say, okay, human, you've had enough of this. Let's take this out of
Absolutely.
your life and it's time to move on and let's put something new in there. So, yeah. I mean, it's very, very conceptual. It's very, I think everybody's going to have a different view on this. I don't think anyone will agree
Right.
on when it comes to higher power. But I think that what we all can agree on is having a higher power, especially when you're doing healing and recovery. It's really nice to have something higher than yourself to help you through the tough things because sometimes when you're doing healing and recovery, you're looking at portions of yourself and it's nice to know that there is a being out there that loves you unconditionally and will not judge you for a freaking thing that you've done.
Mhm. One of the things that I heard all of us really say, and oh, this is one of the topics we want to talk about, was like barriers to believing in a higher power. And the one thing we all kind of like, there was someone, especially Ash and I, like past trauma with religion.
Yeah.
Um, that's a big one. Like that's trauma alone, no matter what kind of trauma it is hard to work through and get to the other side of it. So religious trauma would create walls, and it did for me.
It did for me. And before we go into that too, I just want to say,
Yeah.
Mel, you said one quick sentence, Mel, and I just want to touch on it because I think it's so, so important. You said, we may never all agree on what our higher power is, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that is where a lot of the trauma comes from is each other trying to force
Yeah.
each other to agree on what we think a higher power is.
Because mine is right and yours is wrong. That
Right.
black and white thinking.
And none of us actually know. None of us have ever met the higher power and come back and been like, hey, I saw him. He's got blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, I think that is a huge, huge, hugely important statement. We don't have to agree on who our higher power is, what our higher power looks like, or what our higher power wants. I don't have to agree with Mel's perception. I don't have to agree with Dawn's perception. They don't have to agree with mine. And the reason that that's okay is that my higher power loves Mel and loves Dawn and
Yep.
accepts them no matter what they think.
Hmm.
So I love them and accept
Yeah.
them no matter what they think. I just want to say how important I think that is. Sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt, Dawn.
no, you're good. That because that is a very was a very, very good point.
So you were
Um,
saying the triggers and the traumas with religion that can be create
Right?
such walls. Like it definitely did for me.
Yeah.
I
and
spent 25 years not having a higher power because of the trauma.
you
Right.
know what's really sad about that is it's not your higher power that created the trauma or the trigger. It was another human being that probably did it.
Hmm.
Yep.
And I think that I think it's just it's nature versus nurture again, right? Like when it comes to this kind of thing. Um, like my husband, he went to a Catholic school and he got reamed out by a priest after um a friend of his at the school was in a serious car accident. They were all
Oh.
together. Rob didn't happen to be in the car that night, but a group of them died. And the way that the priest handled it and Rob's grief, like the priest slapped him across the face. From that moment on, Rob no longer believed in anything higher than a higher power. It's hard for him to agree with that. So, like, that was the man, not like
Right.
HP didn't slap him across the face. The man slapped him across the face.
Right.
That's why from go ahead, Ash.
My trauma was 100% from people. Right. No HP ever told me that the only way to pray was on your knees with your fingers and thumbs together, straight line, shoulder back, eyes closed, head down. No higher power ever told me that. And at 5 years old, when I couldn't sit still for 30-minute prayer in kindergarten at Catholic school, and the nuns and the sisters and the preacher would come through and hit us with rulers because we couldn't sit still, like that was not the higher powers doing. That was the people's doing. That was the
Hmm.
religion's doing.
Hmm.
For me, and I could actually probably flip back to the page in my notebook here, but when I was doing my higher power work, right, that step two, step three-ish work where like I need to figure out what a higher power is and I need to let it go and turn it over. What really helped me was segregating the three things because the
Yes.
things which you guys are talking about is the religion. The religion was the part that you're doing wrong. The religion was the guilt,
The
the
rules.
the rules. And when I segregated church, religion, and defined them, then it was like now I have a higher power because my higher power really has nothing to do with those other two. My higher power does not have rules, not in the traditional sense of things.
Mine either. And I 100% agree with that statement.
It's what works for me. That somebody
As
else might thrive in those rules, and that's okay
Hmm.
for them. For me, that's it. No.
as soon as I acknowledged that it wasn't my higher power that hurt me, it was the
Yep.
people. And the other half of that for me was because part of my trauma with my higher power was that he didn't save me.
Hmm.
Right. I had an extremely abusive childhood, an extremely neglectful childhood. It was there was physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse. I don't know if food abuse is a thing, but it was there. Um, every bit of it. And I remember on multiple times, like, please save me, get me out of here, do something, make it happen, make it change. And he didn't save me. And yet again, religion told me if you ask enough, if you are not a sinner,
Oh.
if you are not good, then, or if you're good, then you will be saved. So I did everything I could to be good and I wasn't saved.
And but
And
here's the interesting thing about that, and I love your choice of words are perfection because if you really think about it, he did save you.
he did, just not in the way I wanted him to, right? That's in at 8 and 9 years old. I
It's a
couldn't understand that I had to go through what I went through in
right.
order to be where I am today.
You didn't die, and there are situations that you could have died in and you didn't. He saved you,
Yes, and I couldn't see it in that
right?
in that
At 8 or
perspective.
9. Hmm.
Right. And I didn't have any religion around me that could give me that perspective and say, "Hey, look, he may not have removed you from the situation, but you're alive and you're
Yeah.
breathing and he loves you anyways." Instead, the religion said, "You must be doing something wrong.
Yep.
You must not be praying hard enough. You must not be going to bed on time. You must have negative thoughts about your parents. You must not idolize." Like, and I could not, as a child who was in the situation and even as a young adult, like I had to be 30 years removed from the situation before I could accept that I went through what I went through because I needed to go through it. And had my higher power saved me, like I believed, then I wouldn't be who I am.
Right.
But it took, I mean, it literally took 30 years of things to get to that point.
Yeah, I hear that.
One of the other barriers around believing in a higher power is fear of surrender or control. And I can see that one too. Easily see that one.
Easily. Man, I was terrified to give up my survival characteristics.
Yes.
I was
Yeah, 100%.
absolutely terrified to let go of control. And I didn't see it as control. I saw it as I can see what's happening. Let me show you, and you can listen to me or you cannot.
Hmm.
But if you don't listen to me, then I'm going to show you and show you and show you and show you until you do listen to me because I can see something that you can't see.
Right.
And really, that is control, right? I'm trying to get another human being to do what I think they need to do.
Hmm.
Letting go of that and giving up that, like I was like, oh, but I'm gonna let my kids go through hell because I'm gonna let them do what they want, or I'm gonna let my mom abuse me because I'm not going to be angry and defensive around her. And like for me, that was a really giving up those survival traits that I had
Yeah.
learned and ingrained in my heart to keep me safe was absolutely terrifying, especially giving it up to a higher power after my religious upbringing as a child. Like, why would I want to give my power to a judgmental, condemning God?
Right. And then the last one is resistance to believing something outside of myself. And I think really that ties back into the survival, those the survival thoughts and things, right? You prayed, right? Asking for what I to be saved, then not getting it, then that means there's nothing outside of myself. So how do I believe in something that didn't, when I think they didn't show up for me?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you felt like God let you down, he wasn't there for you in your childhood, he allowed all these things to happen, or she, or whatever you believe in, and then, it's hard. And then all you've had is yourself. That's all you've been able to rely on your whole life. You haven't relied on people. You don't trust in anything but yourself. It's hard to give that up to something you can't even see, touch, and be tangible with. Do you know what I mean?
Yep,
That's a big step for some people. It really is, depending on the level of trauma or their level of what they've been through in their life and how they got there.
for
So
sure.
it's a big thing. Like the first three steps in recovery from anything, if you're using a step program, they're huge. And I think that's why they push it home so much, because being able to trust in something outside of yourself is like I said, it's a level up. It opens up a whole new realm of possibilities for the person, or for myself. When I started to believe in something higher than myself and really put my faith in it, it really opened up my life for better, bigger and better things to come in. And it improved my emotional intelligence. It improved my emotional maturity. I was able to have a better understanding, and not look at people with that judgment that I held. It's almost like I was wanting to take on the consciousness of my higher power, and try to show up without um it I find that it's working in my life now, where I'm trying to be a higher consciousness myself, and with myself, not necessarily with other people. I don't know if I'm kind of going off track here, if I'm making any sense, but it's my relationship with my higher power is growing me.
Hmm. And so we've been talking about the last so many podcasts about, awareness. We've talked about just awareness that my life is a little messed up. We've talked about self-awareness. We're talking today about higher awareness, and really talking about what it looked like for us with a higher power and or religion, God, um, in the past. And I would love to next time look at ways that we can connect to higher power, ways that we can, how we experience our higher powers. I know we do those very differently. um, Talk about it, like what the importance of is in recovery or your healing and growth, and then just ways to find it and maintain that relationship, because that's crucial. That's crucial. So I thought, you know what, we can pause here. We've covered a lot of information,
Mm.
and next time we can pick up with those things that I said.
Yeah, and I think another, just to add to what you said, Don, is the characteristics of who our higher power is now.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, who he is now is very, very different than who he was 20 years ago.
I'll be honest, even 2, 3 years ago, he's different.
Yeah. So
It's
I, yeah,
evolves.
definitely add that in, and we'll keep going with this over the next week or two for sure.
All right. Thank you for the great conversations today. Listeners, check out all our podcasts at any of your streaming services. There are quite a few out there. And check us out at workityouareworthit.com and on all your social media platforms. We are out there sharing this community, creating a community where we can offer growth, awareness, and a place to be able to connect with others that might be going through some of the same struggles that we do on a daily basis. So thank you for listening. And Mel, Ash, thanks. Have a
Thank
great
you.
week.
You guys too.
Have a
Bye.
great week, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
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 We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workityouareworthit.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.